Hi, this is John Gundry. This is the second installment of the Throwback Shop Tours. The first installment was the Slug 101 winder, and we use that machine to wind many of the PAFs that we make here. We also use one of the other known PAF coil winders, the Lisona 102B, or the Lisona 102, which we have in another room. So let's get down to giving the details about the Lisona 102 winding machine and how we use it here, and the history behind the machine, which is probably the best known of the four known PAF winding machines that Gibson used during their golden era. Okay, so where to start with the Lisona 102 and 102B? Well, first of all, this was a standard piece of industrial equipment starting in the 30s, I believe, when they first were made. In fact, it's called a Universal Winding Company coil winder, and it universally can wind bobbins from as small as 1/8 of an inch, actually I believe it's 1/32 of an inch, to 3 inches. The sales records actually still exist for these machines, and I've looked at some of them, and it shows the companies that once owned the machine, the Lisona 102. One of those companies is Lionel Trains. I've been told that the original Lisona 102 that Gibson had, they actually purchased used, and records show Gibson's Lisona 102, serial number 1277, was originally shipped in February of 1954 to North Electric Company of Galion, Ohio, U.S. maker of the Ericophone. So at some time after 1954, Gibson bought this machine used and went on to make pickup coils with it, of which some of those were PAF coils. At some point in the 90s, I was told by a place that sells used coil winding equipment that these were worth more as scrap than they were as coil winding machinery. Since the size of machines had shrunk so much over the years, you could get a much smaller machine, faster, more efficient machine for less money, less space. So these are now very hard to find. A little more history with the Lisona 102 and 102B is that it actually has a history beyond Gibson in winding pickups. Sales records show that Rowe Industries, which is also the company that made DeArmond pickups, purchased the Lisona 102B in 1959. So these machines were used also by two well-known pickup or guitar/pickup makers of the day, and by happy accident, these do make great sounding pickups. Okay, so what makes the Lisona 102 unique among the four PAF pickup winders that Gibson used? Well, this is the only machine that actually uses a lobed cam, and a lobed cam being a cam that compensates the traverse travel over the every time it does layer. This has one large lobed cam in an adjustable mechanism to cover anything from a 3-inch to a 1/32 of an inch bobbin size, and it's easily adjustable within the housing. But the catch with that is that when it's dialed down to the 1/4-inch size of a PAF bobbin, the tolerance within the mechanism, just inherent to the mechanism, does come into play, so to speak, in that when it changes direction, there is a little bit of what others have termed slop, which is play in the mechanism that affects how this winds coils in a PAF pickup. So tonally, how does a Lisona 102 affect the sound of a PAF? Well, it does distribute the wire very evenly compared to some of the other known machines. But due to the tolerance variation in how the travel of the traverse works, it seems to make what I describe a pickup as that has a little bit of a rounder tone than compared to some of the other machines that we use. It's one factor, we think, in what makes the original machines an important part of making a PAF reproduction. It's not the only factor, but we do feel this is one of the most variable details, and having the correct machines is a key part of getting the right sound. Okay, that covers the Lisona 102 and 102B part of the Throwback Shop tour. We're finishing up with the Lisona 102. Keep watching for our upcoming shop tour videos where we'll cover the remaining 2 of the 4 known vintage PAF winders that Gibson used to wind PAFs and P90s.